Hello all, this is my review of RWBY Volume 7, Episode 6, Night Off, and yeah. So the series decided to go dark again, like really freaking dark. This seems to, confirm the season theory to be true. For those who don't know, it basically says every volume of RWBY is a season. Spring, summer, fall, winter, and then repeat. So Volume 3 was the season of fall, and Volume 7 is also the season of fall. And I am starting to see some parallels. Long-haired, good-willed girl is framed for a horrible crime she didn't commit, which brings terror and panic, which brings the Grimm. Yeah, wow, this was way darker than I was expecting. I mean, seriously, besides the Adam death, when was the last time we actually had like a violent murder in this show? I mean, last volume we had the apathy victims. They basically just slept to death. One before that we had Leonhardt, but he died off screen. Before that, we had just Friend's whole village being murdered, but again, we didn't really see much of that on screen. I mean, this is the first time, besides Adam, that we've gotten like a truly violent on-death screen since Volume 3, so concerning. And this is the halfway point. So they still have a long way to go, and they're already at gruesome, brutal murders. Concerning. Very concerning. Anyway, yeah, episode starts off with all the people being arrested after they protested last episode. And not gonna lie, I was really expecting that protest to be like a bigger deal. Like it wouldn't stop, the Grimm would show up, and people would just keep going angrier and angrier until basically Atlas fell out of the freaking sky. Nope, they were just arrested and wasn't really brought up again. I guess this is more about building up the anger of the people till it reached a breaking point, but this definitely felt like a breaking point. And then they're just like, no, never mind. It didn't really matter. I mean, Winter even said Father just lit the match that would set Atlas up on fire. And yet it wasn't really even mentioned that much this episode. It's just kind of weird to me. Anyway, then we get on to some more training, and we're definitely seeing some improvements in everyone's powers and abilities. I love Weiss here just smashing her sister's summoning back and forth like it's made out of paper, using her anti-gravity glyphs. I'm very excited to see her using these in like actual combats. That could be a lot of fun. And then the sneak attack was just so perfect. Weiss using a tiny summoning to sneak up on Winter and basically cut her Achilles heel. I mean, that was just absolutely beautiful and so well done for Weiss. I mean, it's been shown before that she can use mini versions of her summonings, but she's never really made good use of them until now, and I'm hoping we'll see more of that down the road. I think she has a lot of potential with that, as sneak attacks or reconnaissance or whatever. And just the look these two give back and forth is absolutely beautiful. I mean, Weiss's summoning is kind of standing there all proud. Winter is just, staring freaking daggers at her like, you did not just cut me like that. And Weiss just has this absolutely smug look on her face that is so precious and beautiful, and I just love it. Then move over to Nora, and it looks like she's focusing on more pinpoint accuracy, finding ways to require less energy or put more focus into the right parts of her swing to put more power behind it. Because that's exactly what Nora needed, more power. While John doesn't really seem to be working on boosting his semblance, more boosting his recovery speed, which very helpful for him, because if he can increase how quickly his mana recovers, that'll be a big boost in him helping other people boost their abilities. Meanwhile, Ruby is learning to split herself apart, which, I don't know, this just feels weird to me. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about her semblance, its volume. Harry talked about it, and now she's doing it like this, and I'm just really curious what it is she's training towards, what this is all leading towards. I mean, other people are like, oh, of course, Ruby's always been able to split apart. That's not that interesting. But if she's learning to think about it more, if she's learning to get better control over it, could she split it into, instead of 3 pieces, like 20 pieces and attack an enemy from all sides? Or, I mean, I'm very curious what happens if, her rose petals get separated and can't find their way back. Does she just stay in petal form until they can? Or does she rebuild herself as a smaller version of Ruby? That would be really weird and really hilarious, honestly. Just like an army of mini Rubies running after the enemies. Really unlikely we're going to see that, but it'd be really freaking hilarious. And of course, Oscar's all depressed because he still doesn't have a semblance, but I'm fairly confident he's going to get it this volume. Exactly what it's going to be, just based on what the rest of the team has and what's still needed, I'm thinking maybe something involving barriers or defense. Maybe something with mind reading. Though his combat style does seem more acrobatic than most, so maybe he'll be able to jump further or have something similar to Ruby, speed-based or something like that. I'm not sure. And finally, there's Ren. And there is definitely something going on with him here. I'm just not exactly sure what it is. And one of the main theories I've heard so far is that he's learning to sense the emotions of the people around him. That's how his semblance is boosting, but I have a different theory. Mine is that he's learning to project positive emotions outwards. Like, instead of him just creating like a neutral barrier around him where the Grimm are like, what's going on? Where did he go? He's learning to create a positive barrier which actually repels the Grimm. Like, they're going to see all this good happiness emotions and be like, oh, we're getting the hell out of here and run away. That'd be very helpful, especially, if the town goes to heck in the next few episodes and they're going to need to focus on evacuations. Anyway, then the whole team's given the night off, and Ruby suggests, hey, you could just work with Robin, and then she wouldn't be trying to overthrow you. Do you ever think of that? And it's kind of an awkward scene, because once again, Ruby's saying, why aren't you being more trusting? While Ruby's, keeping the big secret to herself about Ozpin, Salem, the Relic, and all of that. And if they told her, oh, we're building a satellite to rebuild the communication network so we can reconnect the world. I mean, Robin's first priority is still Mantle, but I don't think she'd be actively opposing them like that. And like I said, actually getting Robin to believe any of that would be a fairly difficult task. And then Ironwood decides to give us a whole heaping of foreshadowing. After tonight's election, we'll be waking up to a very different Atlas tomorrow. Yeah, no duh. Far, far different than you ever imagined. Honestly, I don't even think Atlas is going to be there tomorrow. I think by the time the sun comes up, Atlas will be falling out of the frickin' sky. Anyway, so the team sides split up for their night out. Blake and Yang are going with Team Funky to a dance club, which, oh, please, God above, let us see that. I'm just praying that's how the next episode opens up, Like, they're at the dance club, Weiss and everyone else are at the movies, and all of a sudden the Grimm start bursting in and they have to kick butts while there's hip-hop, punk, whatever, rock music playing in the background. That would just be so amazing, and I really want to see that. And good on you, Yang. You actually managed to make a joke that makes Blake laugh, that isn't corny or horrible. Good on you! That's the best character improvement I've seen in a long time. Yang then teaches Blake how to dance. It seems fairly obvious that neither of them have ever danced in their life, so that's just weird and confusing and awkward. Again, I want to see them at the frickin' dance club. I think that'd be hilarious. And then John and Oscar invite Weiss to go to the movies with them, and Oscar seems surprisingly happy when she says yes, and honestly, I was pretty happy about this as well, because it's just such a great moment for both Weiss and John. I mean, don't forget how far they've come. Volume 1, Volume 2, even Volume 3, Weiss would barely even stand being near John. Like, she'd knock him away, she'd insult him repeatedly. She didn't like him being around him. And John was obsessed with her, in love with her, wanting to date her for whatever reason. I still don't know why. And yet now they've both grown past that. I'm kind of doubting John's, asking out Weiss on a date here. I definitely don't think John asked Weiss out thinking this was like a date, because, he still is like pure on his mind. He's still not willing to like let her go. You can argue whether or not John was in love with Pyrrha or not, but he cared deeply for her and she loved him, so him going after another girl, I think he would find disrespectful to her memory. Though, in John's defense, it looks like a few of those thirsty moms that really liked him last episode may have been brutally murdered this one, so he does need to replenish his harem, just saying. And then finally, the question is asked by Nora of all people. Could someone else kill Salem? Thank you. I mean, literally, since the episode aired last year, people have been asking time and time again. Well, he asked very specifically, how do I defeat Salem? How do I destroy her? And that's the entire freaking point. You, Oscar, Ozpin, whoever the hell you are, you cannot defeat Salem. That is very clear. Because you work by yourself, you work alone, you don't trust others. These other people are the ones that need to defeat Salem. They're the ones who need to do it. Ask the freaking question better next time. Don't be so specific when you're trying to get questions out of an all-knowing genie. I mean, look at Ruby. She asked, what is Ozpin hiding? Not, what's the truth about this? Not what's going on with the Gram. Not what's the truth about Salem. She asked, what is Ozpin hiding? And she got his entire freaking backstory. Ozpin asked, how do I defeat Salem? And he got a 2-word answer. You can't. Be less specific next time. I know that the rules of Genie is be specific or you'll get screwed over, but that's not the case when there's an all-knowing knowledge Genie that answers your questions. Be less specific. Ask broader questions so she gives you broader answers. Okay, I'm sorry for that little rant, but seriously, this is like super important and seriously, somehow the team has never even once considered this the whole time. I'm actually amazed it was Nora that thought of this. Good on you. Oh, and Ren's all pouted that they should be training more and getting better and improving because they're running out of time, and he's in a really dark place right here, I gotta say. I know a lot of people are kind of annoyed with Ren, how he's been treating Nora this volume, but it's becoming clear that he is worried, panicked, afraid. He knows that Salem's unbeatable, and we didn't really see much of his response when we found out that Salem, couldn't be killed. And I think this is actually his response. He's afraid. Afraid of Salem, afraid of what she's going to do to the people he actually cares about. And his response to this is basically just to push Nora away, to focus on the mission, to try to save the world for her. Anyway, then they get to the campaign. I just love that the Atlesian security camera guards, whatever you want to call them, have kick me signs on the back of them. That's just so absolutely perfect. I mean, it really just shows in an amusing way how much distaste Mantle has for Atlas and everything they stand for. Also, I am 100% convinced that that girl right there is one of the thirsty moms from last episode. Oh yeah, and by this point, it's become incredibly obvious that Robin is going to lose the election. I mean, they just kept showing us the percentages. And every time they show them, they're like, oh, Jacques up a little bit more, Robin's down a little bit more, just back and forth. I mean, after the third time, like, yeah, this is pretty obvious what's happening here, but I really liked it. I think Rooster Teeth has done a really good job this volume of telling a story from the background. Like little things in the distance, newspaper clippings, billboards, whatever. They hint at what's really going on. They hint at a deeper storyline that we just haven't gotten full access to yet. And then we get the climax of the Ren and Nora battle. It becomes very obvious that Ren doesn't actually realize Bumblebee is a thing, which is absolutely hilarious. And this really goes into the second part of the show. I mean, I said before that I thought he was afraid and worried about the battle against Salem, the battle against the Grimm and all that, and that he wasn't strong enough to keep Nora safe. But at the same time, he's also afraid about hurting Nora, about saying something or not being able to read the situation properly, where they actually become a real couple, a real relationship. And he's just so bad at reading her that he basically screws up the relationship and she hates him for it. That's the last thing he wants, so he's right now pushing her away so he doesn't make a mistake that makes her hate him. Unaware of the fact that him pushing her away is really kind of ruining their relationship. And Nora's response to this is to kiss him passionately as the world blurs around them and time moves in slow motion. So neat! Gotta say, I did not see this coming for quite a few reasons. I mean, especially not here. I think this is only like the second kiss we've ever gotten in the show? Wait, no, okay. Pure kissed John before she pushed him away. And I think Blake gave Sun a peck on the cheek at one point. So, yeah, this is like the second or third time we've ever gotten a kiss in this show, and just absolute worst timing, and I'm worried that might end up being a big part of it. Because, like I said, while they were, busy kissing and making out, Ruby's screaming out, "Watch out!" And I'm worried that Ren is going to feel like the people dying was on him because he was distracted, because he was focused on Nora. And maybe he's going to push her away more, say, for now, the mission comes first, something like that. I don't know, I definitely feel like the timing of this wasn't just, accidental. I feel like this had to happen here for a reason, for whatever happens next with Ren, whatever he decides to do. Anyway, then after the whole Ren Nor battle began, we just got some absolutely adorable moments with Ruby I truly want to talk about. I mean, her clinging on to Penny, begging her not to leave her alone was just so precious. And then the fist bump. Oh my god. Penny was so excited for this fist bump. And she almost broke Ruby's hand. That was just absolutely beautiful and amazing, and I loved it. And then Ruby gets mad when she's called Pipsqueak, which I just love. Then we got Robin calling Marrow Wags. Just such an absolutely beautifully perfect nickname for him. And once again, I feel like she had to know these people, you know, Clover and Marrow, maybe from the academy or something. She seems incredibly familiar with them. Alright, now this next part, this really weirded me out, and I did not realize this. Just huge thanks to the Ruby community for pointing this out to me, but this Happy Huntress right here, according to the credits, her name is Mary Marigold. Marigold. As in Henry Marigold. Remember this ass? Yeah, apparently she's his sister. I have so many questions about this. Does that mean she's from Atlas? Does that mean her family disowned her? Has Henry changed his ways? Is he also part of the resistance? Is he against his sister? Are they talking? Does he think she's dead? I have so many questions about her backstory. Seriously, I just want like a full episode just focused on her, explaining her life and how she got here and what's going on with her brother and all of that. So many questions about this. I mean, just this connection with such a small character. I hope it plays a part down the road, but even if it doesn't, just this little detail just giving so much mystery and interest to her backstory is just such a cool thing to do, and I'm just really happy Team Kruby did that. It's such a cool choice to make. We then get a very weird conversation between Marrow and Robin about the purpose of the law, and I don't know, it feels weird that Marrow isn't more on her side. Like, she's basically saying, well, I want to improve things for everyone, even the Faunus. You know, you've obviously gone through some discrimination. Your entire team openly mocks you to your face. Don't you want to make that better? He's like, no, I want to follow the law 100%. I'm like, why? What's the law ever done for you? And, oh my god, this line from Robin is just so absolutely perfect with this cocky smile she's got on her. Everything I've done is legal. And no, it is definitely not. I can say it with 100% certainty that you are definitely not following the law. But once again, I just really do want more backstory on Marrow this time. Just, he has this obsession with following the law, with doing what's legally right, even though it's that same laws that have, even though it's that same system that's kept him down basically his entire life. I mean, what's happened in his life that made him so pro-human? We certainly didn't see any of that when he was talking to Blake. I mean, I almost feel like he would have better off if he'd just joined Robin's Happy Huntresses after he graduated from the academy instead of, you know, joining the Aesops. Again, just want to know more about him. Alright, we then see some more of Fiona, and oh my freaking god, this girl is so absolutely adorable. Please, gods above, gods of light and darkness, do not let adorable sheep girl die. Do not let her die. Oh my god, she's just absolutely precious and adorable, and I really hope she's okay. And once more, we see the numbers ticking down, spelling Robin's fates to lose the election. Just, god dang. And then Watts appears with his 30 different scroll tablets that he's controlling all at once, because of course he is. And wow, he looks like he's having a great time, and he's dancing along as he's hacking everything. It's weird, honestly, just seeing how amused he is by all the chaos he's causing. And I mean, seriously, he's at the same time hacking the election as he is turning off the lights, as he is photoshopping Penny's body onto Tyrion's movements. Just too much all at once. Also, anyone else think that Tyrion purposely let himself be seen by Ruby just to cause her pain, just to cause her grief like this? I mean, Ruby turned around and he gave her like the biggest smile in the world, like, hello, Ruby. I think he actually intentionally wanted to be seen just to mess with her. Oh, also, it seems like we finally got confirmation on what exactly Tyrion's semblance is. I mean, I'm going to put this in slow motion so you can see it, but he hits with his right hand, and her aura is absolutely decimated. And then he attacks that same spot with his left hand, which has the blade on it. So he can literally cut through a person's aura essentially stripping them of all their defense. That's problematic. I mean, that's like really problematic. It just makes him like the greatest assassin in the world. I mean, aura for a huntress is, their life. It's what keeps them safe. It's what keeps them from having to wear giant, thick armor into battle every day. And for Tyrion to be able to cut it away so easily makes him probably the deadliest enemy we've ever seen in the series. It also may explain why he was interested in Jon's semblance, because they're basically opposites. Tyrion rips away aura while Jon enhances it. Maybe Tyrion was able to sense that they were opposites or something. I don't know. That line he said is still weird, though. Anyway, then a whole bunch of people are dead and Jock won the election. Woohoo. I mean, this is absolutely freaking brutal right here. All these people laying dead, and the look of pure horror on Penny's face right here when she realizes that people are blaming her, that the people she's sworn her life to protect have turned against her and think she did something this awful. I made this comparison at the beginning, but it's similar to how Yang, everyone turned against her just because, they all saw her break someone's leg. Everyone's turned against Penny for even less reason, just because she was there when the people were killed. I do love Mero's quick thinking here, and just how he used his semblance. Stay! I mean, he's a dog faunus, and yet he gives orders literally like he's ordering a dog. Like, sit, stay! Anyway, that just amused me, even though, that just really amused me, even with all, the dead people walking around. And, of course, his first priority was just to get Penny out of there, because it's obvious, she was so freaked out that she wouldn't be able to leave on her own. And then one of the happy huntresses nearly impales Mero with an arrow, and Robin is looking freaking pissed. However, I don't think she's going to blame Ironwood for a whole bunch of reasons. I mean, first off, doing this made absolutely no sense. I mean, if this was an attempt to assassinate Robin, it was done very poorly. For another thing, Mero and Ruby. Robin knows them well enough to know that Mero is obsessed with law and wouldn't break it like this, and she's seen, the absolute innocence in Ruby's eyes to know that she's not a killer. She wouldn't be on board with this plan. And she even was trying to save Fiona, holding onto the wound to make sure she was okay. Which then brings us to what I think might be the most important part. The one person Tyrion did not murder, the one person who Tyrion attacked but did not murder, was Fiona Thyme. Not just a faunus, but a sheep faunus. And as we know from Professor Oobleck's class, the faunus are known for their night vision. And a quick Google search shows that sheep are fairly good at seeing at night. I mean, obviously not well enough to fight off Tyrion in the dark, but I'm going to say well enough to see that she was attacked by someone who definitely was not Tyrion. I mean, I feel like this has to be important. The fact that Fiona Thyme was attacked head-on by Tyrion and yet was not killed. I feel like this must be needed. This is going to be... I feel like she's going to recover and she's going to tell Robin that it wasn't Penny that did it, that it was someone else. Some man with scorpion-like abilities. And then Robin is going to go try and murder that guy. I mean, we even see in the opening that she is fighting Tyrion along with Crow. Now, it might take her a while to come to this realization. I'm not saying, next episode she's going to come up to Ironwood or Crow, wherever, and say, I know you weren't behind this. Help me take revenge against the person who was. I would like that. I think it is possible that could happen. But I think that's pretty unlikely. Anyway, then Watts uploads the doctored footage of Penny attacking all the people. And, just sweet Lord above. Penny's look here. I mean, she's a robot on the verge of tears. As just chaos erupts and ensues, and everyone is afraid of her, terrified of her after she's, dedicated her entire life to protecting Mantle, to protecting its people. Anyway, then she flies back to Atlas, because if anyone sees her, it's just gonna make things much, much worse. And then the Grim attack. So, not great. I mean, I said last episode I thought, the revolution had begun. We were in the end game now. Everything that happened after this would just be one long night of endless battle. I'm gonna say that again this episode. I mean, they've literally just seen Ironwood's own robot. There's footage going around now of Ironwood's own robot attacking the people whatever happens next is going to be a rebellion, a revolt, just chaos and insanity ensuing. And a lot of people are going to die, and a lot of Grimm are going to show up. I mean, my hope is that they don't just, do a time skip, say, 3 days later. Wow, that was a crazy revolt we had, and all the Grimm we had to kill that night, that was insane. I want next episode to pick off where this one left off, or maybe like a few minutes before. That we flash over to Blake and Yang at the dance club, John, Oscar, Weiss at the movie theater when all of a sudden the Grimm attack and they have to fight them and meet back up, and it's just this huge epic battle across all of Mantle that takes place throughout not just next episode, the one after that, the one after that, the one after that, all the way to the end game, the end of the volume as Atlas falls out of the frickin' sky. And, then Cinder and Neo show up and try to kidnap or kill Ruby. I'm still hopeful Neo's going to end up betraying Cinder. I really don't think Neo blames Ruby for any of this. Or at least she blames Cinder more. We'll see about that. I'm assuming this whole rebellion and all that is just a excuse or distraction so Watts can sneak into Atlas, get the steal the Maiden's power, and get the relic for himself. That's interesting. I'm gonna assume the chamber of the Winter Maiden is in Mantle and not Atlas. It might seem like a weird thing, but I don't think that these chambers, these doorways, whatever they are, wherever they are, can be easily moved. So that means Watts is gonna need to break into Atlas, find his way through that very long chamber to the Winter Maiden, who is deathly ill, kidnap her, drag her back down to Mantle without killing her, or without her dying from natural causes, and then use her to open up the doorway. Or it might be that they feel forced at this point, where they need the Winter Maiden's powers to stop the revolt, so Winter's going to use the Ore Trance machine to steal the Winter Maiden's powers, and just go in to try to save Mantle, and then be attacked by Watts and kidnapped and dragged to the chamber of the Winter Maiden, so that he can steal the Staff of Creation. A whole lot of possibilities for next week. Like I said, I do really think that Robin is going to hear out Fiona and decide that Penny wasn't responsible, but we'll see about that. I mean, even if Robin says that, though, I don't think it's going to stop the revolt or rebellion. No one's going to really listen to her at that point. They're going to say, she was paid off by Ironwood, or she was threatened, or whatever. But yeah, let me think about all that down below. What the heck's going to happen next? Are we doing time skip, or are we just going into the endless night here? I mean, let me know anything down below. Be sure to like, subscribe to the next video. And until then,
peace.